Yes. Rogue Legacy. This is a game that I was told I needed to play by a bunch of my coworkers. Fine, I said to them. I'll buy it. It wasn't a wasted buy. In fact, I'm still playing this a bit every day, just to get further and further. I've completed the game twice, and now the difficulty is just getting a little ridiculous, though. Now, the game as a whole is a throwback to the classic challenging platformers of the yesteryear. When you first start playing, it's not uncommon to die a few screens in. In fact, this death scene, you'll be seeing it a lot. The controls are simple to learn. In the beginning, all you need to worry about is space to jump, D to attack, and W to cast magic. Eventually, you get more additions, like A for a special class ability, Q or E to dash, and possibly even S to fly short distances. You can also press down and D to strike downwards, or down and space to drop platforms. You can also hook up a controller for the game, and although I haven't tried it, I would assume it would actually make the game a bit easier, so if you have one laying around, I'd probably recommend at least trying it. Rogue Legacy has an interesting concept in regards to the story. You start out as a knight who goes through a castle, but then disappears. It's not up to your child to follow in his parents' footsteps and find out what happened. Should the kid fail, which he or she probably will, it will then be up to the next of kin to continue the quest. Should they fall, the game continues with the next child, and then the next child, the next child, the next child, then the next child, and so on and so forth. You do get a choice between 3 kids though, and they vary between the class and their traits. The traits are really the biggest draw of the game. Each child gets up to 2 random traits that may or may not influence the playstyle you'll use. For example, gigantism means that your character is about twice as big, making it easier to hit things, but also easier to get hit yourself. Dwarfism is the exact opposite, which makes it easier to evade attacks, but also harder to hit enemies. You also have the trait that makes you colorblind, and then the one that makes you play the game upside down. I personally avoid this one as much as possible. Even dyslexia is a trait that's available. As I said, these are randomly assigned to each child on a new game, and you even run the chance of having a kid that's completely clean, with no traits at all. It may sound like the traits suck and make the game a bit harder, but that's not entirely true. One of the best ones is the trait that I can't remember the name for, that allows you to walk on spike tiles with the spikes not damaging you. It's incredibly useful when you're going through some of the more dangerous areas of the castle. That's not to say the traits are the only thing about the game that really draws attention to it. The large selection of possible classes is also pretty nice. You have your standard paladin and mage, but add in an assassin, berserker, lich, and even a miner, and the party starts rolling. Each class has its pros and cons, along with a special ability once unlocked with a class upgrade. In fact, the majority of the classes need to be bought, and every class, minus the hidden one, can be upgraded to become more powerful. As for the special abilities, they range from somewhat useful to very critical. The Paladin gets the ability to defend himself against attacks with a shield at the expense of some MP. The Berserker has a Skyrim Fusroda shout. The Lich King can sacrifice some HP permanently for an MP increase. The Spelunker shows you where all points of interest are on the map. So let's move on to the real meat of the game, the castle. Your mission is to travel through the castle and kill the 4 bosses to unlock a giant door in the lobby. Thankfully, once a boss is killed, it remains dead. The castle, on the other hand, well, every time you die, it randomizes. The only way to prevent this is to talk to the guy on the outside, who agrees to lock the castle down at the trade of giving him 30% of your share of treasure. This may not seem like a lot, but early on in the game, you'll need every bit you can get. The gold you can find is used to purchase new gear, enchantments, and most importantly, upgrades. It's up to you on how you want to upgrade your character. Do you buff up your health and MP and start out weak? Or do you go with the exact opposite, start with low health, but have a massive attack strength? It's really up to you. But naturally, things start getting more and more expensive as you progress. Chances are, you'll want the class upgrades first, because those will ultimately make your job easier. But don't think you can carry your gold around with you. Once you die, the only way to re-enter the castle is to give Charon all your gold. That sucks. There is an ability that allows you to decrease the price, but you're still going to be giving away most of your earnings to the gatekeeper. Because you do start off incredibly weak, the game begins at an incredible difficulty. As you go on and on, things do start getting a bit easier. At least, that's the case till you manage to complete the game. You then get a New Game Plus. Keep all of your stats, and try to complete your game again with upgraded creatures to slay. Honestly, being able to finish the game may not take too long. If you know what you're doing, you can probably complete the entire castle in a few hours. There's only 4 parts to the castle. You have the main part, the forest, the upper tower, and the lower dungeons. Each of the 4 bosses lives in their own respective section, so technically you don't need to revisit ones that you've already completed. The game might be hard, but due to its simple, old-school nature, it's actually a blast to play. It's literally just repeating the process of collecting coins, slaying monsters, and dying. Repetitive as it may be, it's very fun and challenging. It's got the feel that every time you die, you just want to play one more run, just get a little bit farther. And this keeps repeating over and over until hours later you finally quit the game. The only downside is that after a while, you get a little bit bored of it, so it becomes a game that you can play for about an hour at a time, but then a short few minutes later you get the urge to play it again. Be that as it may, it's still super addicting. There is more to do than just beat down crap and die though. There's various journals that you can read that tell the true tale of the game, of which I won't spoil for you. There's 2 mini-games you can take part in, both of which are hosted by a clown that will taunt you when you fail. There are large portraits on the walls that will tell the tale of other games that were developed by the minds behind Rogue Legacy. There's also a rare jukebox that will play any song within the game. It may not seem like much, but it's a good diversion from the action. Due to the low amount of real content to the game, there's not much else to talk about. Thankfully, the dungeons are for the most part random, so you don't know what you're about to run into next. There's also plenty of upgrades that will keep you busy playing and getting better, because even when you finish the game, you're going to want to challenge yourself with the next difficulty. It's a fun game that deserves to be played. Definitely check it out if you're in an older style of platforming or action games. Final score? 9 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.